Clamp is going to clamp, and they're going to have some sort of element with Wish. Hello, the story here is called Wish. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Wonder of Anime. My name is Lisa, and today I am so excited to finally be bringing you the next installment in my Clamp reread series. If you're new here, welcome. I have been documenting my journey rereading Clamp manga in chronological order, the Clamp manga that has been legally licensed in the United States. I am a huge Clamp fan. I have been collecting Clamp manga since I was about 15, 16 years old. So I'm so excited to, dive into the world of Clamp. And I have done, I think, 9 videos already on the series thus far. So I'm so excited to be bringing Wish here because I have my last Clamp reread video was back in January. Yeah, I think that's when I filmed part 2 of Magic Knight Ray Earth. And I had been meaning to get into Wish for a long time. And I read Wish when I originally got this. I believe I got these when I was in high school. I got all 4 of them. These are first edition prints from Tokyo Pop, and girl, I have been carrying these around my house for months, and I don't know, something just I was reading way too much other stuff that I just couldn't get into it. But finally the time came. I got into it, I got my notes, and we're going to get started. But before I do, if you'd like what you're seeing so far, if you're a Clamp fan or a manga fan, please be sure to subscribe to my channel. I do a little bit of everything, including streaming, and it's a lot of fun. So let's get into Wish here. So Wish was published from November 1995 to August 1998 in a manga magazine called Mystery DX. This manga magazine also published Legal Drug and Shiruden Gengashu, which was illustrated by Clamp. That is something that you will probably have seen Clamp art of, but it's not licensed in the US, so you may have never seen that. Tokyo Pop licensed it in the US and started publishing it from August 2002 to February 2003. Viz then got the license in 2015 and they published it digitally, but I did check their website recently and it is no longer on there. And then Dark Horse published it in an omnibus in 2019. One thing to note about Wish, and this is going to be a main point that we're going to get back to, is that the angels are genderless, as they are a main character in the series. But in this Tokyo Pop translation from 2002, again, 2002, they of course were we don't know what to do with this. So they assigned genders to the angels based on appearances. And the main character, Kohaku, is decidedly made female. When Dark Horse retranslated it in 2019, they removed the pronouns from the angels and used they pronouns. According to Clamp lore, Wish shares a universe with Kabato, Legal Drug, and I forgot. There's a bunch of them that in the same universe. And of course, Watanuki, he be popping in everywhere. So what happens in Wish? So in volume 1, we have a 20-year-old doctor named Sushiro Kudo, who he's walking home from work, minding his business, and he spots a chibi or a cherub stuck in a tree. Looks like a little child baby. The chibi is Kohaku, an angel stuck in chibi form because it's nighttime. Since Sushiro rescued Kohaku, they are determined to grant them a wish to repay them. Sushiro insists that he doesn't need anything because he works a good job. Hello, he's a doctor. He makes money and he doesn't need anything. Sushiro lets Kohaku stay with him until Kohaku figures out a wish to grant. We learned that Kohaku is an angel from heaven on a mission on Earth to find another angel named Hisui. Hisui is one of the big 4 angels, master of the wind element, that has been missing for 3 months. We get appearances from a devil named Koryu, who torments Kohaku. He has two devil cat twins, Hari and Ruri. The volume ends with Kohaku finding Hisui and learning that Hisui has fallen in love with the devil's son, Satan himself. The devil's son is Kokuyo. Since they've made love and they are in love, neither of them can return to heaven or hell. And Sushiro invites them all to stay at his house because why not? They don't have anywhere else to go. In volume 2, Sushiro's grandfather comes to town from Canada and we learn about Sushiro's parents. His mom was a wisteria fairy and returned to being a tree, you know, normal stuff. And his dad found her and was fated to die. So the dad was going to die. The mom was like, you know what? I'm going to return to being a tree. So Shiro had some complicated feelings towards his mom, as it seems like he was in love with her or cared for her very deeply in a way that is not normal. But as she tells him, she was not his fated person. In volume 3, Kokuyo realizes that there's something off about Suichiro, but every time he goes to say something, he is interrupted by some other power. The other Master Angel comes down to collect Kohaku because it's obvious they are not finding Hisui, and they bring them back to heaven. In volume 4, Kohaku defies God and returns to Earth, where they reunite with Suichiro. Kohaku and Suichiro realize they love each other, of course, and God decides the punishments for Hisui and Kohaku. So Hisui is to be stripped as a Master Angel and can return to heaven at all, while Kohaku loses their powers entirely and must remain in chibi form for 100 years. Everyone is devastated, even Koryu, who's always tormenting Kohaku. They think this punishment is way too harsh. But it turns out Suichiro suddenly dies. After they realize that they love each other and that he's okay with her being in this chibi form, he dies. As it turns out, Kokuyo revealed that he knew that Suichiro was fated to die, and that the reason that God punished Kohaku with such a harsh punishment is because they knew that Suichiro was going to be reincarnated in 100 years. So Kohaku sleeping in 100 years without the powers, that's the only way they would be able to sleep for so long. 100 years pass and Suichiro's reincarnation is a 17-year-old boy, and he comes to the house and Kohaku awakens. And they're together, the end. Happily ever after. So of course, with the theme of these videos is to point out Clamp's recurring themes. There's always going to be a certain formula, certain things that Clamp will put in every single series that they have, as I've been documenting in prior videos, and Wish, of course, is no different. So this one in particular, I'm going to start off with the genderless angels, and I don't necessarily know to use the term non-binary because I don't know if that is the intention of Clamp at this time. The angels and often other beings that they have are genderless because they cannot reproduce. Sometimes they're not human, so they're not assigned a gender. And in Japan, their language has a way of speaking about people without identifying whether they're male or female. Whether in the United States, like we have they, them pronouns, but everybody's upset about that. Clamp is going to clamp, and they're going to have these characters that challenge your view of gender expression. We've seen this in RG Veda and of course in X. When I initially read Wish, I read it with the pronouns as Tokyo Pop had translated it, and I kind of wasn't aware of how much that shaped the story for me. Reading it now in 2023, my mind auto-corrects the pronouns for Kohaku and Hisui today, and I'm seeing the story in a completely different light. One thing that stood out to me is Kohaku's appearance visually. Like I mentioned, using the she/her pronouns really shaped how I viewed them. So I accepted that Kohaku was a woman when I initially read the story, and now in this rereading, I noticed something about Kohaku that stood out to me so much. And that is that every time they would change into human clothes or even in their angel clothes, they are wearing what we would consider very traditionally masculine clothes. And I'm not sure how I did not realize that. But again, I think that is, due to being told that the pronouns were she, her. So I was just like, that's okay. Like, women, we can dress more masculine. That doesn't determine your gender identity. But in this specific case, and knowing Clamp and how intentional they are, I was very surprised that I had missed that. Especially because taking a closer look at Kohaku, I realized that Kohaku has a lot of androgynous, more masculine leaning features. And something that really stood out to me is that I kind of noticed that they looked like Kazuyaha from Legal Drug. And that is a story that we're going to get into. It hasn't come up yet chronologically. Now in 2023, I was like, how did I miss this? And I think that really does shape the story for me, because as a cis woman, I understand that non-binary people can choose to express their gender in any way, shape, or form. So there are going to be non-binary people that perform femininity, perform masculinity, and run the gambit. And for me to not have noticed how masculine presenting Kohaku appears in my mind of what we know of gender stereotypes and like clothes and fashion, maybe the term would be I'm more androgynous. But even just some of the mannerisms and some of the way that Kohaku is presented in the story was very eye-opening to me, that I kind of didn't realize how masculine presenting they came out to be. And like I said, I blame that to being told she, her, and not questioning and not kind of taking into account anything further. Like I said, this in Wish particularly stood out to me because Clamp, like I mentioned, they have had genderless characters before, and there are specific reasons why. So for example, Nakuto in X, they were made from remains of the daughter and the father. So they have a more masculine presenting appearance, but they were made with genetic data from the daughter, and they're essentially like a clone of the daughter. And in Wish, obviously the angels are genderless, but we see the difference with Kohaku, who is presenting more masculine, and Hisui, who is presenting more feminine. Traditionally, what we consider those things. Like I said, I can't speak for Clamp, but it was just a very interesting observation that I did not notice 15 years ago when initially reading the story. And now knowing what I know about sexuality, gender identity, and expression, it just was mind-blowing to me to kind of put all those pieces together. Clamp is going to clamp, and they're going to have some sort of element with Wish. Hello, the story here is called Wish, and it's always going to have something that relates to a wish, and here it is, the main plot. Taboo love is always going to hit in any series, and Clamp is going to find a way to make it sexy. So of course we have Hisui, an angel, and Kokuyo, who is Satan's son, and Kohaku, who's an angel, and Tsuchiro, who is a human man. It's also weird, the weird thing with Tsuchiro and his adopted mother, because that ain't his real mom. And it reminded me of Seichiro and his mom in X, where it was kind of bordering on romantic love and them saying like, you're my person, and the mom's being like, you haven't met your person yet, which kudos to the mom, but it's also weird. Another theme that immediately stood out to me is women or feminine presenting beings losing powers due to making love. Ain't that something? Hisui loses their angel status and powers after sleeping with Kokuyo. Immediately. It is done. And that is the same thing that happened with Arashi and X. Once she slept with Sora, she could no longer draw the sword from her hand. Twins, of course we have twins, because what is Clamp without twins in their story? And these twins also are in the form of cats, which was very cute. people being in love without realizing that they're in love. In this case, Kohaku and Suichiro falling in love with each other. Kohaku being an angel, not really knowing what love was and having these feelings and not knowing how to label and identify with them. And then Suichiro kind of just not realizing that it was love that he was feeling. It ain't clamp if somebody is not losing an eye, and Kokuyo does us the favor and he actually gives up his eye as a way to swear his love to Hisui. So how do I feel about Wish in the Clamp canon, in the Clamp multiverse? So Wish to me seems like a very lighthearted comedy with darker themes, but the comedy outweighs more. And I feel like this was a very pivotal shift in the Clamp canon and sets the tone for their future works. So we have RG Veda and X, where there are definitely comedic moments, but they're very far and few in between, and the overall situation is very dire. People are dying left and right. They're like against time because somebody's gonna take everybody else out, and it just feels very heavy. Tokyo Babylon, it does have more comedic moments than RG Veda and X, but there is always that darkness that is looming about because we as the readers are seeing Seishiro kind of just be evil, and Subaru just hasn't seen that yet. Another thing that stood out to me in this specific series is sexual promiscuity, and it was just way more noticeable in this story than ever before that I've noticed. And it may have just flew over my head when I was younger, or it just was not something that I was paying attention to, because a lot of the like little jokes kind of happen off to the side in really small text, and they're like behind the scenes. It's implied that Kokuyu has slept with Kyoru, and the twins have also slept with Kyoru, and they're always kissing and making like little jokes about sleeping with each other. And was not something that I had noticed or picked up on before. We see them kissing, but again, with translation, I'm not sure, if things were exaggerated or more liberties were taken. Wish, to me, I feel like it's very slept on as a series in the Clamp universe, but it's really that girl. And it really defines Clamp moving forward in a new direction from their super dark tragedies into stories that are both lighthearted but with deeper meaning behind it. For the time being, because we know what else is left to come. Overall, rereading Wish was such a good experience for me, and I wish more people talked about it. Of course, the story is a little bit weird. It's a little bit campy, being that it is Clamp. And of course, I love someone, but I don't know that I'm in love. But the themes of, reincarnation, supernatural beings, heaven, angel, I think they're done in a very unique way in Wish that other stories, don't have this kind of unique spin to it. This concludes my Wish video. Like I said, I am so happy to get this series done. I really enjoyed rereading it, and it is just a really cute story, but some of them little deeper, darker themes hit different now that I'm older. And next, I am so excited because we have the series that really started it all for me, which is Cardcaptor Sakura. And that is not without its problems that we are definitely going to get into, but it means so much to me. So I'm so excited to finally be getting into Cardcaptor Sakura, because I also feel like from Cardcaptor Sakura on are more of the popular titles that people may be familiar with when it comes to Clamp. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I am so excited to finally get it done, and I can't wait to talk to you guys in the comments about this. One thing I love about the Clamp fandom is that we have members everywhere, And I have videos from when I started this series 2 years ago that still get comments to this day of somebody loving X or Tokyo Babylon, and I love talking about it so much. So it's always such a joy when Clint fans find my videos, because we always also tend to be around the same age range. But thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.